My name is Tabitha. I'm a photographer and content maker, and I'm here in Janjuk at Be Kind Studio with Sophia Lamb, who is a yoga teacher and a mum of two young kids. And I'm in conversation with her to find out some really useful information about a couple of different things that might be helpful for people during isolation, especially parents with young children. So I would love to hear now a little bit about your ideas on how to create spaces or routines to help with your well-being, especially for people who are in isolation.
Well, firstly, thank you, Tabitha, for having me share this time with you. I feel very humbled. Okay, so in answer to the question, I love that you used the word routine. It was always a word I largely didn't think was in my flow. I was used to be more fluid, I suppose, in that sense without it, and I've realised how essential it is to nurture yourself, and then in turn make life easier for young children and probably older children. I'll let you know when I get there. And so for me, I suppose the most powerful tools or the most supportive things have been finding those pockets of rhythm in the ever-changing ways that the day sometimes unfold, but the things you can predict. So may that be after they go to sleep, or the times in the morning, or even during your day when you find moments that your body or yourself is reacting to anything that's occurring within your experience. So I'd probably say for me, my main one since having a second child has been this little window after everyone is asleep, and it's half an hour and I have a shower and I put on my favourite oils, and then I go and stretch and meditate and read a few pages of my book. And even on the tiredest nights, the times I don't want to do it, it feels hard, are the ones that I always feel I receive the most nourishment from, because it's a time to nurture everything, your nervous system, your heart, and come back into balance. Yeah.
And how do you make that easier for yourself? So I'm thinking of myself when I was a single mum with three little children at home, and I had come out of a difficult relationship, and my level of well-being wasn't fantastic. And so in times like that, even when obviously it's going to be really good if you meditate every day or if you do yoga every day, but when you're in that state, it's really hard to create that practice, because your motivation for looking after yourself, let alone other people, is not as high as it is in other times. So have you got any ideas for people who might be in that kind of state? What can you do to make it easier for yourself to do the things that will nurture you?
That's such a great question. And it's so human, and I definitely want to make it clear I don't perfect anything that I do. I'm such a beginner in this. So it's so human. And when you're tired and you are giving all day, you are definitely, I know I'm definitely do it myself, the bottom of the pile. So it's what makes things manageable for you to do. You don't have to think about it too much. It may be, I sometimes find a joy in a cup of tea. So maybe just boiling that kettle and drinking it while it's warm. And not 5 hours later, if you can. Even if you got a charge in hand, and breathing deep. That is one I try and use a lot if I remember. Because the power of deep breath, it really feel right into the bottom of your lungs, you know, the ones that you actually feel go all the way in, and time slows even for a couple of seconds that you inhale and exhale. Try and do 3 of those. Anytime you feel yourself going outwards or getting triggered or reacted or just absolutely depleted, breathe. I know I find myself so often shallow breathing, and that in turn can make me feel anxious or exhausted. And then on top of already being all those things, it's challenging, right? Yeah. And I'd say also not being, it's definitely something I have to practice that too, is taking help if you can. You know, if you have a friend or a relative or someone that can even just pop over, or you can call on the phone to chat through things, because you're never alone. And that can help your well-being, because a problem shared is a problem cared. It's not just yours. It's very universal. And taking help if someone offers, or even, I suppose, blocking out a time in your week, you know, that Daisy down the road can help you on a Monday at 8:30 for half an hour, and make that perhaps part of that rhythm or that routine you may. That's probably them.
I was thinking about that today because I was answering some sort of question somewhere, and it was to do with when you found that community was really important, and when you were able to accept help from community. And I think for me, when that became really, my answer was, it was when I was a single mum with 3 little kids, and I had no car, and I had to move house. And that was the point where I really needed to let down my boundaries and accept help. And I was lucky enough to be in a community that was just so helpful. And I had so many people come with transport and put stuff onto the back. I wasn't moving very far, but it was really hard to move when I didn't have a car. And so that was one of the questions that I was thinking about you. You're very good at surrounding yourself with really beautiful, gentle people, and when people come into your sphere, they seem to just mellow out, and there's just a beautiful energy around you, and the community around you is really beautiful. And so I was wondering if you have any pointers on how to do that. I don't know whether you're aware of your ability to do that, or because not all people are the same. Some people have been brought up not being taught how to connect so deeply and beautifully. So have you got any words about how that happens?
My goodness. I feel thank you for your kind words, and I feel that love is it's just a reflection in all of us. You know, we're all underneath it all. We all are love. And we all hold a light. And that doesn't change, no matter the story or the layers. Can you repeat the question?
I suppose what I'm asking is that for me at that point, I really had to, I didn't want to ask for help. And I wanted to be strong, and just, you know, I guess we're all taught that sometimes, you know, you just have to do what you're supposed to do. And I guess what I was learning is that we don't live on an island, and that in small ways, everybody's helping each other. Like even if you just go to the milk bar and buy some milk, that exchange that you're having with the person who owns the milk bar is a strand of community. And so what I was learning is that we really do, like, accepting help from other people also is a gift to them, because it then allows them to be able to accept help from other people as well. But what I've noticed is that there are people who I know who are really good at having that connection with lots of people and allowing, giving and also receiving, whereas there are other people who are not as used to doing that. And so I suppose what I'm asking is, how do you become better at accepting help from people, and also and giving that opportunity to other people to know that they are allowed to ask you for help as well?
I understand. Thank you for clarifying. I think I felt a bit shy, because I definitely don't see those things. So I think, well, first of all, it's been a journey for me, learning how to accept help. I always had the archetype or the identification of, strong, I can do it all on my own, and showing weakness is weakness, but it's not weakness at all. That in itself I've learnt is strength, and I've learnt that from watching other amazing people around me step into that vulnerability, and in turn that bravery, that courage to be seen just as they are. And I think seeing dear friends do that then gave the space for me to practice that. So that vulnerability to do that, and I think that's what still inspires me to do better in doing that. And also practicing to come home into here. That's what yoga, I suppose, or moving your body and breathing, or whatever you do, surfing, riding, walking, all of the things that can bring you a little step closer into home, or to feeling in your own inside. It's when you can perhaps shed a little bit more kindness or love at times to ourselves when we want to be the harshes on ourselves, that can then give us some space to perhaps join forces or open up for others to be welcomed in. Because I definitely believe that service, or that the giving, receiving, it's just a natural flow of life, of humanity, and I think it's integral to our soul's survival and our being. Maybe through food, maybe through community gatherings, or a kindness of helping an older person cross the street, or picking up that $5 note or whatever for someone. But
Beautiful. That kind of leads on to another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is creativity. And we spoke a little bit before about where Sophia's, where she feels her creativity comes from, and she talked a little bit about community, and this studio has held, before we were all isolated, it held lots of beautiful community gatherings that had really, beautiful ripples that travelled out and created bigger things in people's lives, and just a beautiful, sweet feeling of connectedness and community. So yes, I'm wondering if you could please talk a little bit about these thoughts on your creation of community, and where it comes from. How did it come about in your life, and how do you think it might go on once we're not isolated anymore?
who knows? Thank you. I'm just, I love that saying by Ram Dass, that we are all just walking each other home. And it always plays in my mind. As that is, I imagine all of us walking together. Wherever we are, we're all the same, just trying our best. For me, on my own personal experience, this space was birthed with inspiration from my family. As my past work, I just adored with the community down Studio Yoke, and I wanted the community was just so it felt like my purpose or my service here. And then I had my first child, and it was clear to me that it was integrating my family in, and I needed to do it from my home. And so from that, I suppose this space was birthed. How can I keep sharing or keep being of service or having a space that others can do that from, and keep that flowing. And I think community just it makes you feel good, huh? When you're in it, when you share an experience, or you share doing something with someone, or sharing that smile or that greeting, it can completely change your day or where you are in your life, depending on what's going on. It can be very supportive. And so that is my inspiration. It's not about us. It's just about that we were gifted the space under our house to then use it as almost a porthole to to then channel through. From here onwards, who knows? I hope that we're allowed to open the doors again and come back into life and have beautiful people walking in and holding community gatherings. And they're my favourite, things like movie nights and kitten and whatever else arises. I'm pretty open. Open to see, because you never know who you might meet or where they might go, or who that person you see walking down the street suddenly you're sitting next to.
Yeah, it's true. There are a lot of things that we're missing out on by all being at home. There's a lot of things I miss. There are a lot of things to look forward to. It's very true. It does make you realise what you've got when you don't have it anymore. I would like to know if you, being in the space of having young children, can you give a small practice that people could take on and build into their routine? Have you got any other little tricks that you've been using? Being with two little children and not having access to a lot of community. And so what are some of the things that you have been building into your routine to help with your well-being and the children's well-being? And keeping in mind, that some people, if they're not in that space of a high level of well-being, what I found is that it's very hard to be connected with other people if you're not in a space of good well-being. So I felt you can become not just disconnected from your friends, but you're not as connected to your children. So I guess what I'm asking is, what are some tiny things that you can do if you're in that space to build up your resilience and make things better for yourself, and then obviously in turn that will impact on the relationship you have with your children and make things better for them as well?
Absolutely. That's such a beautiful question. And I think even if you do have this, a rhythm or a practice with your well-being, you always come out of it. It's, you're never, I know from my experience, you're never right nailing it, you'll come down at some point where I know I have, and and you lose it, and you can feel disconnected. It's so normal. And that's when you need these, or have these tools the most. Let's say for me, in those times, it would be when you connect with yourself, then in return you can connect better with others, maybe your children or friends or a partner. So I'd say, what makes you feel connected? Is it going into nature for a walk? You know, we can do that. We can go onto the beach or just down the road, or see some trees, hear some birds, pop the kids in the pram, or if they're older, go for a walk, or see if someone can look after them if you want your own time. I'd say nature's a beautiful one. And that can also be done with your children as a way of just being outside and letting the fresh air and the earth do its thing. I'd say if you're in the house and you're not having that much access to nature, then in the house you could always interact with your children have that way. So what do they like to do, and what do you like to do that could connect you? May it be doing something in the kitchen, something where there's not too much talking, but that brings a connection between you and them. Maybe it's making some cookies and trying them, sitting down on a little cushion on the floor and eating them afterwards, or maybe enjoying a bath together, something warm and grounding. Or I also, if things are getting a bit wild at home, kids are going going wild, and then that in turn is making me feel frazzled. I sometimes put some nice smells on. So may that be if you have access to an incense stick, or a vaporizer for some essential oils, or having some for yourself that you can spray or put on. That really helps me, and I use that a lot, and I see it really work with the children too. And creating a moment of connection in your day, I've been trying to do especially with the transition into a second child. It's huge for the first one, and for the parents. And so it's finding little things. May it be just lying on the ground next to my oldest, just for about 10 seconds, because that's before he wants to go and play with a truck or something. And I've done it outside in the garden, and we just put a rug down, and especially when he's perhaps really dysregulated, and then in turn I start to feel it, we put a rug down on the grass, or if you've got a deck or something where you can see the sky, and we just look up at the sky, and we're there together looking up at the sky, and it's nothing else needed. You don't need to get anything at all. I've done that quite a few times and found that like
Oh, that sounds really beautiful.
There's a few tools.
Yeah, no, they sound very beautiful, and it all sounds very well connecting. It connects you to the earth, or to nature, or to the sky, but also to coming back to the senses as well. Something to smell or taste when you're cooking. Yeah, that's beautiful. If there's anybody who has any questions, there aren't any comments, so I'm hoping that we actually are live. I have no way of telling whether we are not. So if you are watching, please put a comment in, or if you have a question, that would be great. And otherwise, what I would like to know a little bit about is that, so for people who are at home and with kids and would like to be doing some yoga, I understand that you're going to be putting some yoga on the internet. Can you tell a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure, thank you. Yes, I'm hoping, my intention is to put a few classes up gradually, and I dream of it building in turn, but step by step, as you know, it's like we're little ones. So I hope to get up some classes which are really available to everyone. So may you be whatever age, or if you have some injuries or new to yoga or very experienced, I hope to make these classes accessible. So with the restorative one,
Yes.
With more of a slow hatha, so just a slow moving stronger class. And I also hope to get a prenatal, so pregnancy class up, and also mums and bubs class up, so you can have your little ones there.
Yeah.
And have a few tools to do with them too, so you can see how you can engage with them in your practice.
Yeah. That sounds beautiful, because one of the things that I haven't done as regular practice with yoga as I've dipped into it here and there through my life, but I have found that it's really good for children. And like I used to do all sorts of yoga things with Lily. She's 11 now. When she was younger, I haven't done it since. She's grown quite a lot. But what I found is that it was a really beautiful way to connect with her, and I really should bring that practice back, because now she's at the age where she's doing her school through the screen, and the screen is a really difficult thing to pull yourself away from when you're that age. But to be able to connect and touch your parent, and also to be working out your weight, and yeah, it's a really lovely way to make your relationship with your children closer. That's what I found, and yeah, I miss that a lot.
Yeah, it really is. I love hearing that. It is in this, even my oldest one now, he won't let me on his yoga mat. He wants to do it on his own. He rolls it out. And it's been okay with them drifting in and out of it too. It's having no expectations.
Yeah.
And I suppose also showing them through you doing that practice an act of self-nurture.
Yeah.
And perseverance. If they are climbing on you like a ladder or a tower, or just embracing all that comes. But it is very, it's for all ages. Anything that brings you back into here from here.
And even just talking to you now, I'm remembering a time back when my oldest was quite young, and we had a little sand timer, and I think it was 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes or something, but we used to just turn that over, and we did eye gazing during that time. And so that was kind of like a bringing into the practice of meditation a bit. And again, it's another practice that I could definitely bring back with my youngest. But what about you? Have you had any experience with introducing mindfulness or meditation to little children?
I suppose yes, I do it. I do it with my little ones. My youngest is only 4 months old, so he kind of bops around on the mat or next to me as I do it on him and over him. And my oldest one now, I've always had him with me. I used to, when he was a lot younger, I used to be quite set on having the perfect time in the perfect place. It was quiet and just for me to do my practice, which I think also has a place for that just space. And I realised that it wasn't always going to be like that. It was my own learning. And so I started to integrate him even more, as this was when he started to move a lot. And then he got into a toddler, and it's beautiful, 'cause especially with breathing. He definitely starts to understand just taking a few deep breaths when he gets stressed, or after a big emotional release or something. Do we just breathe together, like 1 or 2, and they may be really exaggerated, or and we do that together or something. But I can see how that, and also we use a lot of mantra with our children, and always have, and it's not only soothing for us, for mum and dad, but also most it's the only thing that has been able to settle our oldest one all through his life. We sing mantra to him. Yeah. So I definitely have faith in it.
Oh, that's beautiful. You're going to have the most wise little humans that become big humans.
I know, it's not up to they're on their own journey, that's for sure. I just feel humbled they chose us to share it with them.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Learning.
It's true, you do learn a lot from your children, that's for sure. Well, it's coming up to half an hour, so I would just like to give my appreciation to Sophia for coming on and sharing these really beautiful gifts, and thank you for the time in conversation too. It's really lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you.
So go well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.